Morning, friends. The leaves are falling. It's time to feed the blueberries. So what we do, because the blueberries are hungry, the leaves fall off the trees. I rake up the leaves. Let me show you how it's done. Get a nice leaf rake like this, and you just take the leaves. This is how we make breakfast for the blueberries. We got a trash can, in they go. Now you get your exercise. Not only do you feed the blueberries, but you get your fresh air, you get your sunshine, you get your exercise. Which are all essential ingredients for your health. Now the Lord has provided an abundance of leaves. I mean, we're living in the middle of just many acres of hardwood trees. And we can rake leaves till the cows come home, still have leaves left over. And so we fill up the bucket. And then once the bucket is full, we take them over to the blueberry patch. And the blueberries are they're fed for the morning. Now it's interesting, this is not the kind of food I would choose for myself. I'm not a big fan of eating leaves, but this is the preferred choice of the blueberries. And it's interesting, when we feed them leaves, they feed us blueberries, and that is my first choice. So this is a food for the belly, right? Those blueberries are good, high in phytochemicals. There's so many good things in blueberries, one of the healthiest foods you can eat. And we get an abundance of blueberries because we feed our blueberries an abundance of leaves. The blueberries we get in return for the leaves, it's physical food. But Jesus said in John 4:32, I have meat ye know not of. And the disciples thought somebody had brought him lunch, somebody had brought in a burrito or something. No. Jesus, he explains in verse 34, it's my food. What I'm having for breakfast is to do the will of my Father in heaven. So when God was feeding his people, he wanted to give them food for the soul. Now, soul food is different from this the physical food. And Job said, Job 23:12, I've esteemed thy law, your words, more than my necessary food. He said, yeah, I've got to have some food to live on, physically. But if I don't have food to live on spiritually, I may have a name that I live, Revelation 3 verse 1, I may have a name that I live, but I'm dead, spiritually. So you need the balance. Certainly you need food for the body, but then you need food for the soul. Now, of course, I'm looking for the food for the soul. How do I find that? And the Lord has a plan. But let's take the blueberries, something to eat. Let's take some lunch over the blueberries. Come with me to our blueberry plants. Here are blueberries. We've got about 27 plants, produced a great harvest this year. Of course, now we're going to feed them. This is what we give them. We give them leaves. So we put the leaves around the blueberries. Kind of a call underneath all this is we put the leaves around the blueberries. We see that they're very happy. They're going to produce a nice crop next year. But it's makes us happy. Proverbs 17:22, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Food for the soul gives you a happy heart. And a happy heart, that's good medicine. So how do you get this spiritual food? Well, first step. When Jesus in John 6 is talking, he identifies himself as the bread that came down from heaven. And he says, unless you eat the flesh and drink the blood of the Son of God, the Son of Man, there's no life in you. And he's telling the disciples, he's telling the people that they need to have a breakfast that is more than just, hash browns and granola. You got to eat the spiritual food. And the spiritual food comes from God in his Word. And this is what Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. John 1:14, the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. So when we have Christ's words, we have the undistilled truth, and that does something to our souls. It changes us. John 17:17, sanctify them through the truth. So the way to get it is the way you rake leaves. You get the broom, the rake, you go down there, and you rake the leaves, and you put them in a trash can. But with God's Word, you go get your rake, you go to the Bible, you rake up those words. Psalms 119:11, thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against thee. Of course, sin, John 3:4 is a transgression. 1 John 3:4, sin is a transgression of the law. So when you read God's law, it fortifies you against sin. and that gives you spiritual food for the day. Now, the time to eat breakfast is, spiritual breakfast is before breakfast. Jesus says in John 6, verse 32, Moses gave you that bread from heaven, right? And you ate and you're still hungry. That right there is a signal to go back and look at the bread that Moses gave that came down from heaven. And if you go back to Exodus 16, Moses is giving the people the manna from heaven. Two kinds of manna. One is a physical, one is a spiritual. But the condition was that the people had to go out and get it before the sun came up. You had to go out and get it early in the morning. If you leave the bread until morning, the sun will come up and it'll just, next verse, it'll turn to worms. The time to get the manna from heaven, the spiritual food, is first thing in the morning. And come on, friends, we live in a very fast-paced, high-speed world. If you don't get it in the morning, you probably won't get it at all. Once you get involved in your day, once you get in high gear, get rolling through your day, then probably, if you didn't get it for breakfast, you won't get it at all. So may God help us to fatten up on His Word, to be spiritually healthy, and certainly the blueberries, we need that too, right? We need corn, whole grains, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. We need that too. But first and foremost on our plate, I have esteemed Thy Word more than my necessary food. God bless you, my friends, and may you be well fed today.